Hello, my name is Saul Jensen. I am the Vice President for Enrollment Management, Marketing, and Communications here at Northern Illinois University. I was asked to speak a little bit about the creation of our Strategic Enrollment Management Plan here at NIU. We began this plan back in, about a year ago and launched it officially in January. We launched our Strategic Enrollment Management Plan that included the background, the history of where we were, and then in February we came out with what we called the Accountability Plan, which was where we took our SEM plan, had the goals, the strategies, the different objectives, and really then the Accountability Plan was narrowing it down to the very specific tactics, about 100 in all. Let me talk a little bit about how we got to that, through that process, and where we stand now. So at NIU, as well as many institutions in the state, there's been a decline in enrollment for some time due to many different factors, but we knew that we needed a plan to stem that tide and to turn that around. And so despite the fact that there are multiple factors, for example, the declining population in the state, the number of students who are graduating high school is declining and will decline for the next 20 or 30 years. We know there's many challenges ahead, and there have been for some time. We've also had declines in state funding, although those are starting to turn around now. There's just those challenges we had to recognize, and as part of a SWOT process that we did when we started off, and identify what are the things that we could focus on, and then what are the things that we just couldn't worry about because they were out of our control, and we would work through those issues and opportunities when they arose. Over the course of the past decade, we've seen a different population. Not only decline in the state of Illinois, which is where most of our students come from, but also a diversifying of the student population. And we wanted, as part of our SEM plan, to make sure that that was one of the key components, is that we are becoming a more diverse campus, and we're celebrating that and recognizing that, and that as an institution, we're embracing that. Another one of the aspects that we've been looking at, just as background, is that's a concern to us, is the number of students who not only are admitted to the institution, who go to another institution, which is still great, they're going to higher education, but what we've noticed is that over the past several years, we've done some research on students who are admitted to NIU who did not enroll anywhere. They didn't go to community college, they didn't go to a four-year institution, they didn't go to college at all. And upwards of the numbers of about 1,000 students per year who were admitted to NIU, so students who had good academic credentials, on average about a 3.3, 3.4 GPA with strong test scores, and these students just wouldn't go anywhere. Most of them are first generation, first in their family to go to college, which we think may have contributed to it, as well as probably finances. But these are the types of things we really wanted to focus on as we were going through this. The other key component of creating a SEM plan is making sure that it fits in with the institution's mission, vision, and values. And so that was clear from up front that we were going to have a plan that was really dedicated to that. So we started with a couple of retreats. The retreats included vice presidents, deans, particularly, and that at least helped us to do those SWOT analyses and to be able to identify what were our mission, vision, values, and how our enrollment plan could contribute to that. Really from there, it was a core group of us that both on the academic side and on the enrollment and marketing side that really started to have this take off and determine, based on those two retreats, how do we now start to shape what the goals and the strategies look like, and how are we going to measure all of those. So ultimately we came up with 3 overarching goals, which turned into strategic imperatives: brand penetration, being able to increase our focus of recruitment and outreach and access. And then the final is in improving our undergraduate student success, retention, and closing equity gaps. So those are really the three core tenets or imperatives that we created. I think other key elements of the plan were that we were very realistic with the numbers. And while we've had strategic enrollment management plans before, I don't know if they were very strategic. They'd be big, grandiose numbers. It sounded great on paper, 25,000, 30,000 students when we were continuing to decline. And so with our plan, we are looking to remain at about 17 to 18,000 students, which is essentially where we are when we began. But again, noting that over the past few years that number had declined, having that stable enrollment is actually a gain for us. And then after a couple of years where we stabilize the enrollment, now we start to increase slowly. Again, I think a big component was recognizing that our student body has and will continue to change, that the diversity of our student body is a strength, and that we can continue to utilize that as a strength for all students. We want to take new approaches to financial aid and scholarships. There are some new innovative things happening. We want to be on the forefront of that. And then, of course, improving our equity gaps, especially in some of our gateway courses, and improving our retention and student success rates. So, again, you can go and look at our strategic enrollment management plan. There's 2 documents. We have a website dedicated to it on our NIU site. You can review those documents if you like. Let me just pull out a couple of thoughts of initiatives that are probably some of the bigger ones. We need to invest in more state-of-the-art technology, and that is partially a customer relationship management system that oversees our entire communication plan with prospective students, bringing in graduate students, law students potentially into that mix, which we've never done before. It's only been at the undergraduate level. We need to increase our advertising, our reach, and the impact that will have for prospective students, and increasing that brand that we talked about before as penetrating that brand. And then one of the unique things about our plan is that we're also talking about how this impacts current staff, faculty, our employees, and what their impact has on the brand, and what the brand can have on them. So especially as we recruit new faculty, new staff in their positions, we want to make sure that our vision and our values are out there for everyone to see. We want to hire employees who are going to have those same values that we have as an institution, so that they can then represent us in the classroom or in their field of expertise. So as we hire, as we onboard all new employees, this will be something about our brand, about the values that we represent, the students that we support here. That's all going to be an important component. On the recruitment and access side, again, we want to engage different markets. If you look at our plan, you'll see we want to increase out-of-state students. We want to increase Hispanic or Latinx students, while maintaining all of our other different racial or ethnic identities or populations. So those are important to us as well. But knowing that Latinx specifically has a growing population, and so as that population grows within the state, within the region, it makes sense for us to grow along with it. We are looking to partner with a couple different vendors, one to help us with online programs and increasing those numbers, those opportunities for students to take classes online. Also looking to work with a vendor who can help us to reach students earlier, sooner in their careers, especially on the high school side. reaching out as early as freshman or sophomore years, as opposed to waiting until their junior years. Talked a little bit before about piloting some innovative financial aid or scholarship programs. We're working on those as we speak. Changing some of the way that we award merit scholarships to our first year and transfer students as well. So those are a couple of the things that we are working on at this time. And we went out and launched in January or February of last year, which is quite frankly pretty late to try and have an impact on the upcoming fall, noting that the SEM plan is a 5-year plan. So we have a plan that goes all the way out until fall of 2023, but knowing that we got a little bit of a late start, we were still able to be successful in many of the different initiatives. And we look at our enrollment here for this fall of 2019. We set out this plan and basically we executed it. We increased our new freshmen, we increased our new transfers, we increased our new master's students, we increased our new PhD students, and our new law students. So literally almost every single new student population went up this past year. As expected, and quite frankly, as part of the analysis we did in our plan, we did still expect that we would have a drop in total enrollment, because we knew that we'd have more students who graduated this past year than we would have coming in. So that's just part of that 5-year outlook and projection that we have set up. But ultimately, we're very excited with where we're at, how we got here. It was quite the process. It's an ongoing process, and I think that's another important part of the SEM plan, is that it's nothing's ever written in stone. As we analyze and as we look at the various metrics that are out there that we've assigned to each of the tactics, we may determine at some point that this tactic just isn't going to work, or we're not seeing the results that we wanted to see with that, and so we can ditch it and not put any more time or energy or even financial resources into that initiative. And likewise, we can add new. And in fact, we've already began adding a new population into our enrollment plan, which is active military and veterans. That's a population that we've decided we also want to see grow from an enrollment standpoint. So, what are the types of things that we can do to enroll more active military or veteran students, and how can we improve their experience once they're here on campus? What can we do better to make their experience a good one, and one that's unique and is meeting their unique needs as military and veterans. So again, just knowing that the SEM plan is something that's always being worked on. We have a SEM committee that meets every couple of weeks, and we're monitoring how things are going. We have working groups that fall under each of the various objectives, so that we know that things are continuing to progress. And ultimately, as you'd see in the accountability plan, there are at least one, if not multiple individuals who are accountable for each of those 100 tactics that we have put out there, typically at the administrative level, either a vice president or a dean or vice provosts. But ultimately, we all have a huge role. Every single person on the campus can play a role in meeting the initiatives of this plan, and that's essentially the way it's set up to work. We've got all this coordination. We've got individuals who are primarily focused on things, but we pull individuals from all over campus for their insights, for their ideas, and it's just important that we do have that excitement and that interest and those ideas bubbling up from every single corner of the campus, including all of our alumni, because they may not be even in the vicinity or the general community, but they also have a vested interest in moving this university forward. So I hope that's a little enough of a background on how we got here and created this strategic enrollment management plan. Again, it's been a great adventure, and as I just mentioned, the adventure continues. We'll continue to update and review our progress, report back to the campus community on how we're doing. I think it's just as important that we're communicating back how we're progressing to make sure that this is front of mind for everybody, and it's not just one of those files that gets done and accomplished and put up on a shelf somewhere, that this is something that's living and breathing, and we're actively working on it at all times. So hope this helps. Best of luck with the rest of your class, and take care. Thanks.